The top three priorities, as people are saying on the doorsteps, are definitely fixing streets, affordable housing, and the stadium issue. The streets, one idea I have is to change the way the construction gets done. So right now, streets could go for decades without anything other than patchwork and no renewal if the residents on the street don't decide to renovate the sidewalks. In some cases, they've collapsed so far that that's necessary, and they incur a frontage charge, which might be several $1,000s over 10 years. And a lot of people can't afford that, so the work doesn't get done. What we could do to fix that is have the rest of the city chip in a little bit when they have the money to keep up and keep the other areas of the city up. To fix the affordable housing issue, I think we have to start increasing our housing supply immediately. We can do that by building small units for people that want something very affordable and just impermanent that they need to have to save money for a down payment for a larger place. Or if they can't afford rents, right now it's quite catastrophically high for some people. It's wiping out their savings. For the stadium issue, I think the proposal as it is right now, most people aren't satisfied with it. They want a chance to vote on it, yes or no, whether how much tax money is going to it is suitable or not. So that's an important thing to let people decide. Okay. To some degree, there were some issues that came up recently where there was questions about whether they were going to release expense reports, and I think government should be much more open than that. It should be as easy as going to a website and seeing the scanned receipts if people want to dig into what the councillors and the mayor are spending on. As far as everything else, the stadium project, as it's been shuffled along, has been given multiple life forms. It's been modified several times. It's not what was originally pitched. And I think people deserve to know why it's changed, and I don't think that sort of openness is there at the moment. I think if private investment is sufficiently high enough, the taxpayers would get some benefit. So yes, I think we could build one, but the private investment should be far in excess of the public investment, because if there's money to be made, then it should be a sure thing for people with hundreds of millions of dollars to invest in it. But since they're not really jumping up to that, and there's less than 9% private investment in the current proposal, it leaves me wondering if it's really going to make as much money as some people are claiming. The 1% initiative I'm not particularly familiar with, but I am familiar with the shortfall, and the current mayor's been struggling supposedly against the federal government, the provincial government, to help catch us up. There's waterways, sewers, and lots of roads that need to be kept up. And it hasn't been getting done. I mean, currently whatever we've got in place hasn't been doing the job to the point where things are all kept up everywhere. So it may work in some situations, but obviously there needs to be tweaks, and instead of pushing certain projects down the road, say, well, we don't have the money now, well, we could start chipping away at those problems instead of letting them get to be huge. Yes, I'm aware of the problem right now. It's approximately a $290 million shortfall, which of course is more money than the city current administration and council is willing to toss away at the stadium. So that's a big problem, because if the stadium is going to cause a 4.5% tax increase for over 10 years, supposedly, then a larger shortfall in the pension plan could presumably cause taxpayers to come up with another 4.5%. Well, ultimately, in democracy, the elections are supposed to be what holds elected officials accountable. If you don't do what you say you're going to do, or what rather the ward residents want you to do, then they're going to elect you out next time. I think, of course, it's possible to be more accountable in the interim, because it's going to be a 4-year cycle, and that's a lot of years to go by if I weren't to follow what people want. So for that, I mean, I can be held accountable by people will be able to contact me. they'll be able to present to council still. I want to increase the openness at city council meetings so it's more convenient for people to pop by and present what their ideas instead of having to submit things in advance. I think right now, if you go as a delegation to city council, it's pretty difficult for the average person. It's just barely after you get off work in most cases. And the council doesn't ask any questions, and you can't stray from the script that you submit on the Thursday before. So it doesn't really lead to any interaction in public where people can see whether you're being an accountable councillor or not. Okay. Definitely. Right now, my neighbor's apartment will be renting for approximately $1,000 a month. It's a 2-bedroom. The apartment condo I own, I'm paying less than that in mortgage. So it doesn't make any sense. I mean, I'll end up owning and they'll have nothing at the end of the rent, and it's ridiculous. So if we don't start increasing the supply of housing immediately with ideas like laneway housing, tiny homes, smaller units that are maybe only 500 square feet, suitable for a single or a couple people that just need a place to live that's safe. And right now there's so many people couch surfing and effectively homeless. It's a real shame. And I think it's a crisis that we need to address immediately, and we can't just shuffle it down 5 years when the current Regina Revitalization Initiative is poised to fix housing in 5 years, which is an insult to everybody without a home tonight. The city's doing a fair job. I hear mostly positive comments about crime fighting. Of course, it's most effective to prevent the social situations that cause crime in the first place. So in that area, some areas of Regina are obviously falling down, and we have to help make sure that they get help that they're asking for. It's not always necessary to add more police to solve a policing problem. Sometimes it's adding a park with people that are welcomed and welcoming there. Something for children to do instead of being left alone to set dumpster fires, for example. So there's social issues that need to be addressed to solve crime, and it's not all about policing, which of course is an important part, but I think the emphasis may be too heavy on putting money to policing. Definitely. I think it's essential that goods that everybody needs an equal access to, like drinking water from our taps, and access to a sewage system, and waste collection, all these sort of things are just naturally run best. Transit system too, where there's not a competitor in the city, but it's run effectively and well with a public system. Okay. Yes, private-public partnership. They tend to be ways to get construction projects moving quickly. The danger in them is that sometimes the private constructor ends up owning the property that would be public property otherwise. I see that they might be useful in certain situations where the public wants a service or a building constructed, but a company is required to do it because their expertise isn't within the city staff to do that project. So in that way you could partner with the private industry and create an agreement that's reasonable, that lets them get their bang for their buck, so they get some profit out of it. But at the end of the day, the thing that's constructed, it remains public, and then it's available for everyone to use after a certain point. Yes, as far as like residential, meaning requiring the residence owners to remove the snow, it's essential that everybody chip in what they can, because the city staff just can't get everywhere. It would cost too much, I think. But there needs to be more help from the city when necessary for people that aren't getting the job done, because there's a lot of people that are in wheelchairs or have other mobility issues, and when the snow's not cleared on their sidewalk, they can't even walk around. They can't get to the mailbox. Just basic things that we might take for granted. But I've run across quite a few people that have trouble getting around in winter, and I'm a cyclist. I'm not a winter cyclist, but I know lots who are, and they'd prefer to have recreational and bike lanes cleared in the winter so they can get around how they choose. and in a safe way still with their winter gear. It just needs to be better whenever possible. Last winter, of course, with our changing climate, we didn't have too many snowy days, and I ended up being able to bike in every single month this year without snow on the ground, but it needs to be done better whenever possible. I've been using curbside recycling for, I think, about 3 years, using a private recycler named Go Green. And I'm pleased that the city's finally catching up. We're about a decade behind other comparable cities in recycling. So it's coming by next year for single dwelling homes. And where I am in a multi-family dwelling, it's going to be the year after, which is sort of disappointing, but I'll continue using the private recycler and get my glass and tin and paper all picked up bi-weekly for the same price that the city public service is going to be offered at. It would be reasonable to do that because what's the harm of being more open about that, really? I mean, it's not something that needs to be hidden. I don't see why there'd be backlash against people if they're wanting to serve their community, for example. So wherever possible, the government should err on the side of releasing information. If it's done on the same cycle, I think it would make sense to include it on the ballot. I don't know, I haven't heard anybody really bring that up as an issue though, so it's really not on my radar as far as changing the way it's been working, but it would be reasonable if somebody presented a proposal at City Council. That would be something I'd consider.